Round 1 of qualifying ghosted here today, as always. Here we go, who will set the fastest time? We have 14 drivers here for the Belarusian Grand Prix at the Brest Street Circuit, and only 7 of them will be able to go through to Q1. There is no Nuno today, the winner of the previous 2 races. So we will have to see. We will definitely get a new race winner here in Formula League's inaugural season, and everyone is, of course, on the first lap, which usually can be slower than a normal flying lap, especially if you end up starting at the front. So it usually is not as important as the flying laps you do after that, and of course there's no tire wear here in qualifying. The only thing you have to keep track of is your boost, which recharges over time, so you have to make sure to prepare for a lap where you've got the boost bar all filled out so you can get the fastest lap you can, and it's a 26.08 from Charge JT. Does it like it's nothing. I don't think he even used his full boost. Then we have Kraft with a 26.38 driving for Monarch, of course. Razim usually is the Monarch reserve, but with Jeff, the other main driver for Monarch Motorsports Royale, Razim is reserving for Rama Autosports, and he's currently in third. Then it's Kado reserving for his own team, Hurricane Racing Team Wind. Kami has now tied Razim 26.67 for third. Then it's Kado in fifth with a 26.95. Jeff is currently in sixth with a 27.45. So only 5 drivers have managed a sub 27 so far. But I'm sure that number will increase quite quickly. Jiruni is currently in the final spot to qualify for Q2 with a 27.60. And Kado improves to 26.48. He's up into third. Jiruni and Jeff fall down. Goose improves. Suicide up into 7th. And I think that's Jiruni improves up to 4th now. Knocks Eurus down to 8th. So it's a battle between the 2 blue blizzards. Which one of them can make it to Q2? Or can they beat the driver ahead of them to beat as Razim and Kami? They are tied. Right now, we are halfway through, less than 2 minutes left. Kraft goes on provisional first. Of course, it's not pole position as there's still Q2, but that's a 26 flat, and that is better than any time he's set in free practice so far. Pumpkin has improved up to 7th with 26.70. Both blue blizzards are out of the top 7. Crunk in 14th, Jeremiah, a new driver, in 12th, with Ari Carmona in 13th, both of them reserving for Audi. Goose is in 11th, Jeff in 10th, then is the 2 blue blizzards 8th and 9th. No changes that lap. Let's take a look who's at the front. We've got Charge JT, Razim and Kado here. They're in 2nd, 3rd, 4th. They're looking good for now, but a lot can change if you're not paying attention. Kami's actually stopped. So has Jeremiah. I think they're waiting for the boost to recharge. They're doing it quite smartly, prioritizing flying laps. Kado, I think, just has improved to 26.28. Goose improved to 9th. He splits the blue blizzards, but it's not enough to get to Q2 just yet. Not much else happening. Razim improved up to 4th with a 26.50, so he broke the tie with Kami. It's Jiruni ahead of both Carpathians Peaks in 5th. Charge GT has just set at 26.10. He can't beat Kraft's time yet, but it's Q2 that he'll have to focus on. Kami improves 26.28, ties Kado for 3rd, and that knocks nobody down because Kami was already in the top 7. But now it looks like Charge GT will finish this qualifying session. It's the final lap, lap 9. And here goes Charge GT across the line, and here goes Kraft. Doesn't improve either across the line. Jeff cannot improve either. Suicide can't. Pumpkin can't. Next one up is Crunk for improvement. He's got best time of 28.03. He improves to 27.58. That puts him up into 1 position to 13th, so not great improvement, but an improvement nonetheless. Kado, next one to finish across the line with Kami right behind him, does not improve. Not sure about Kami. Urist does not improve, just 600 slower than his best. Arya Carmona, 9th, is going to be 9th across the line, and she does not improve either. Jeremiah up next. He's looking to be on not too slow a lap, but he does not improve either. Razim does not improve. Nobody's improving. Kami, will Kami improve? I think Kami was preparing for a flying lap. He must have miscalculated there. Jiruni doesn't improve. Goose doesn't even finish the qualifying session. I guess he just gave up despite not having completed it. But there you go, through to Q2. We will see in a second, but it looks like it to be Kraft, Charge GT, Kado, Kamikaze, Razim, Jiruni, and Pumpkin. Suicide, Goose, Eurus, Jeff, Jeremiah, Crunk, and Area Carmona are out in Q1. Eurus for the first time since the start of the season. And it's time for Q2. Only 7 drivers who will take pole position. Of course, a recent team owner vote. Yes, I'm about to get onto that. A recent team owner's vote has extended the time for Q2 from 2 minutes to 3 minutes. So it is an extra minute that the drivers can exploit to try and get pole position. Kraft and Charge GT with quick starts on this first lap. But of course, first lap is faster than like out laps, in laps, but it is ultimately slower than a flying lap. And here they prepare for their flying laps, Kraft and Joe. And on the first lap is Razim, that is currently on provisional pole. We'll see how it looks after lap 2. We're already a third of the way through. Takes quite a while for a lap around the circuit, but not as long as it does for Barcelona or for Mugello, as those take about 30 minutes. And it's Kraft on provisional pole. 26.02 is amazing. What he is doing with how fast he is going. A free practice did not indicate that he had this pace, but I guess he's been practicing privately as well, running laps in the simulator, and he is ready to fight Cho for pole position. So here they go. Joe, will he improve his time? It's at 26.43. Does not. I think he was on a recharge lap there. Someone joined the VC. Please do mute if you're not muted already. Kado is currently in third, just having a slow lap, waiting for his boost to recharge. Fourth is Pumpkin, who is having quite an incredible performance, even challenging his teammate Kamikaze in the Carpathians Peak car, which is of course running a special livery for this race, an LSA livery to commemorate Vlad's friend Lev, who of course owns the Levioso Sports Art team in Ultimate League, and this is also Lev's home circuit and the circuit that he designed himself. It is also Jiruni's home race, as he is in 5th currently. Kami has improved to 26.32 and he's jumped Joe, but Joe, can he improve? Improves to 26.05, and it is a fierce battle between him and Kraft. Kraft's on a recharge lap. So is Joe right now. Will they be able to get another flying lap going? I think they will. It's a matter of slowing down enough to get as much boost recharged as possible here, and then starting just before the timer, of course, runs out. I think Pumpkin is too far away to impact that, but here he goes. Kraft decided that's enough boost for him, and he started what will be the final lap, lap 7. Charge GT also starts his flying lap, and it is a fight for pole position here. Will Kraft keep it with a 26.02? Will Charge GT beat it? Here goes Kraft on his lap, and it's the final turn. Uses final boost. That didn't feel too strong, and it's a 26.67. He does not improve, but will Charge GT across the line, has a little bit of boost, ran out at the last straight, and it's a 26.22. He does not improve, but there's still drivers going. Pumpkin finishes. He's only in provisionally in 6th right now. Kado is going to be the next one to finish. He's on in his final lap, makes a mistake there, hits the wall. He's got a little bit of boost remaining, but I don't think he will improve. Great time for him. Earlier in the session, he got 26.07 and he is currently in third. Kamikaze across the line will not improve as well. Jiruni across the line will not improve. Razim across the line will not improve. I think they timed it wrong for their flying laps again. It is Kraft on pole position in the Belarusian Grand Prix. Charge GT will start from the front row. Let's take a look at the full grid now. So then, we've got Kraft on pole position, Charge GT from the front row. Kado will be starting in third with an equally impressive time of 26.07. Kami will start from fourth with a 26.32. Razim starts from fifth with a .52. Pumpkin starts from 6th with a .58, and Jiruni will start from 7th with a .72 that he set, of course, in Q2. That's why he starts ahead of Suicide, who set the exact same time in Q1, but of course got knocked out. So Suicide will start 8th. Goose starts 9th. Impressive stuff in the worst car on the grid, sets as 26.77. He beats Urist, who will start from 10th. Then Jeff starts from 11th with a 26.95. Jeremiah starts from 12th in his debut with a 27.50. I think this is also, of course, Suicide's and Jeff's debuts as their main drivers. Crunk will start from 13th with 27.58, Eric Carmona from 14th with a 27.70, and Juan 533 RMC missed the qualifying will start from 15th. It's alright. Let's go, 52 laps here in Belarus at the Brest Street Circuit. Kraft versus Charge GT versus Kado versus Kami versus Razim. 5 different teams in the top 5. Then it's Pumpkin Kami's teammate after that. And oh, we've got a little bit of a laggy start there. Looks to be fine, however. Now, yeah, it looks to be fine. However, Charge GT into the lead of the race. Kraft in second. Kami is up into third, fighting with Kado on his left and Razim on his right. I think I got that right. Charge JT is into the lead of the race. Kraft is close behind him. He's on harder tires. He's on mediums. Joe is on soft. So Kraft will be looking to just slipstream him. And oh, there was a bit of lag there. So that is concerning for Kraft. Kado holding down the final podium position, causing some mayhem behind him. Razim and Kami totally off the racing line, promotes Jiruni up to 4th, and we're going to have light rain. And look at the chaos here in the midfield. Kami and Roz get into a bit of a lag rocket. Urist is pushing through Jeff there. Goose is also involved in the chaos. Kraft stays out. Charge ET on the enters. Suicide also stays out on the hards. He's up into second. Really slowed down. Hits the wall on turn 1. Jeremiah also stays out. He's up into 4th. We got wet. And it's going to be a fake rain. And this is incredible stuff for Kraft, for Suicide, maybe for Jeremiah if he can survive the onslaught of cars on wet tires and inter tires. And it's only the HRT wind drivers who picked the wets. Everyone else opted for the enters. Kado is about to catch up to Suicide. That won't matter much for him when he'll have to pit again. And Suicide won't, especially considering that Suicide went on the hards. Jeremiah, however, has lost a lot of possessions. 153 as well. Suicide and Jiruni got into a crash there. Pumpkin looks to hit the back of Jerry, gets slowed down. Suicide is now with all the other drivers in the fold, and this is a difficult track to drive on wet conditions with dry tires. Charge GT is into the pits. Kado is staying out on the wets now. What is the strategy calls that we are seeing here? It is Kraft into the lead of the race, and what a lead that is. 5 seconds as Joe went for the enters while Kraft did not. Kraft stayed out on the mediums, and what a defining call that is, as Charge GT is now 7 seconds behind him, and Suicide is actually running in the podium positions. We got Kado behind on the wets, finally enters the pit. So does Kami, who stayed out on the enters, and it is Pumpkin who promotes 2 places into 4th ahead of both of them. This midfield just refuses to detach itself. We've got Pumpkin running just ahead of a pack of Eurus, Jiruni, and Razim, and just behind him is a pack of Kado, Jeff, and Goose, and that is all the way down to 10th. Kami has had an awful start. He is down fighting for 11th with Crunk. He is on the hards as well, and Crunk is on the softs, so I don't imagine that Crunk will be letting him through. Charge GT is actually caught up 2 seconds to Kraft now on the lead of the race as Kraft's more worn out mediums do start to suffer just a little bit. Suicide is on the hards, of course, which is probably the best tire he could have picked to start with, considering his call of staying out in the rain. And it's worked fascinatingly for him, but it's Pumpkin and Caddo behind who've detached themselves from the deadly midfield, fighting each other and looking to catch Suicide as well, fighting for 4th. Caddo goes through into 4th. Jeff in 6th, Razim in 7th, then it's Urist. Goose is up into 9th, and that Napoli card does impressive stuff. Girouni in 10th. Kami looking for yet another recovery drive, currently in 11th, but he looks to be closer and closer to the pack ahead. Kraft is finally into the pits onto fresh mediums, and he exits the pits just behind Joe by under 2 seconds there. So Joe is into the provisional lead of the race. I wonder when Suicide will decide to pet off of the hards. He's got a massive advantage here, I'd say. But Caddo is now close behind him for 3rd. Pumpkin has dropped off the back of Caddo and he is in 5th. Then we have Jeff Day Jeff. He is in 6th. Urist under a second behind Jeff. He's ahead of Razim. He's on the mediums. Razim is on the hards. Razim is, however, looking for a move, and he does force his way through with the boost. Urist goes on the inside, forces Razim a bit wide, and they are colliding with each other a bit here. Razim hits the inside wall. Urist also going against him there, but I doubt I doubt he had the ability to cause that accident. However, it's still fierce fighting with them as it is with Jera and Kami behind. Jera and Kami worked together, I would assume. Jera planted into the pit wall. Not sure if by Kami. On my perspective, it looked like it was just a human error. But Pen can do some things. Kami now has caught the squabbling Urist and Razim, who are really fighting aggressively against each other. Urist thinks he's got the right of way there. He's on the mediums. He's on faster tires. Razim should let him through and slip. Razim doesn't think so. Razim thinks he's, I assume, in a better car. Maybe he's got better pace, and now Kami is involved in this freeway squabble, looking to make his way through. And Urist is now into the lead of this pack. Will they decide to slipstream Urist? Will they decide to still try and force themselves? Kami tries to force himself. He succeeds in some manner. He does. Charge AT is into the pits onto hards. He exits the pits behind Caddo, but Caddo is on really worn out softs just ahead of Suicide, who is still on the hards that he started the race with. That's 13 laps on those hards. Kraft, meanwhile, is having the time of his life. Running in the lead. Charge GT is back ahead of Caddo, and it looks like he's punted him into the wall, as of course Caddo's got more ping there, and Caddo and Suicide both into the pits. Now, Kami in 5th. Will he catch him? Yes, he'll go past him. It's Kami onto the podium places after being outside the top 10. And the way this man manages to do that race after race astounds me. It's incredible. Incredible driver. Goose is up in 6th for the Napoli car. That is the worst car on the grid. And he is running ahead of Pumpkin and Urist and Jeff. And Crunk in the final points position fighting with Jera. And it's not been Jera's day so far. I imagine he's had a lot of trouble battling other drivers, and it is his home race, but I don't think he'll be looking back on at least this first couple of stints of this race fondly, looking down the inside of Crunk, looking to force himself past with some boost. So is Razim, who's also not having a great time. He's on the softs, goes quite wide there. Jiruni takes his opportunity to get right back past him. There's some sort of fight or slip train going on here between Kado, Su, and Kami. Kado and Su have the fresher hard tires. Kado makes a mistake. Su just manages to squeeze himself past into the first, into 3rd position, the first of this pack, of course. Kami I think is staying behind them a bit. He is on more worn out hards, doesn't need to force himself into battling if he can just profit from their slipstream, but we see a little bit of lag here. And Joe is only 4 seconds away from Kraft, who's on quite worn out mediums. And this is a lag storm that went on for quite a while, but now it is over, I think. 153 RMC hits the wall somehow. Kraft is into the pits, and I think he'll exit. Yes, he exits behind Charge AT, and Charge AT has that sort of undercut strategy going on. And I wonder if Kraft is maybe having some lag issues, or if it's the entire server here. And it looks like someone has stopped on the track. I think it is 153 RMC who has ended his race, and there is a low amount, but persistent nonetheless, of lag currently. It looks to clear up now, at least it's not a full-on lag storm, but Charge AT has gained time from the last time he undercut Kraft. He is now 2 seconds ahead instead of less than 2. Kado is still leading this pack of 3 cars. Suicide and Komi are really worn out, hard behind, and Jiruni has decided to call it quits. Another race in a row, 153 RMC, officially DNFs now. And yeah, Jiruni had an awful time, and it looks like his car took quite a bit of bumps, and he had to retire it. And 153 RMC, of course, smashed straight into a tire wall. Even if it's a tire wall, that's still car retirement stuff right there. Look how far ahead Charge AT and Kraft are 10 seconds ahead of Kado in third, who's still leading Suicide away. I think Suicide's trying to slipstream him. Looks for an overtake there. That was a bit over the place, but he did try and deploy his boost. Makes Kado deploy a lot of his boost, and I think Suicide is just trying to get Kado to use his boost, and then Suicide will have the boost advantage. Kami has now pitted for fresh hearts, however he's still so far ahead of the people behind that he's still running easily in 5th. Urist on slightly worn hearts is running in 6th. Jeff behind him on slightly more worn hearts is running in 7th. Pumpkin on slightly more worn mediums than Jeff's hards is running in 8th. Goose is down in 9th, running on fairly scrubbed softs, and in 10th is currently Razim, and Crunk is now 10 seconds behind Razim. So it doesn't look like points for Pulsar Racing, sadly. However, Crunk is of course always going to give his best. Charge GT is now finally into the pits onto fresh hards, and he exits just 5 seconds behind Kraft, and he does continue to have that little undercut advantage despite of course pitting for fake rain and then having to pit again. But we've got some server lag issues again, and that's a bit annoying, but hopefully not race ending. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's bad enough to call it quits in any way, shape, or form. Kado undercuts Suicide. He pits onto mediums. He exits behind Kami. I think Kami lets him pass to try and slipstream him. There, will Suicide pit now? He took his last hards to like 14 laps. He does pit this time. Where will he exit? Will he still be will he still be? Yes, he's still in this little pack. However, neither him nor Kami have Kado's slipstream at the moment. Kado's on the medium. Suicide decided to pick the hards, and Kami is of course on slightly more worn out hards. Razim is up into 6th from 10th, so it looks like everyone ahead of him who had fairly worn tires have pitted, and that's Urist right behind him. Then Jeff is still leading Pumpkin, and Goose is in the final points position. He is actually only 4 seconds ahead of Crunk, so never say never to Crunk. Kraft is already into the pits. I don't think he took those hards that much. I think he's trying to stop Charge AT's undercuts and trying an undercut of his own, and he goes for another set of hards. He is now again 2 seconds behind Charge AT, and he is looking to minimize the effect that Charge AT's undercuts have on this race. That is quite interesting strategy, I'd say. If that is the case, Caddo currently holds the fastest lap of the race at 26.05, and he is currently running in third in the podium position. Of course, most drivers must be quite happy that is the IndyCar Constructors' Points system. You don't have to worry about your teammate dragging your team down or your teammate not even being there at all, like it is the case with Antti, unfortunately, who was not able to attend today's race in Belarus. So it's just Charge GT by himself. But of course, the second best placed teammate in a race cannot score points for the constructors himself. He can only deny other teams that amount of points by finishing in that position. Kraft is now about a second behind Charge GT. We are having the same kind of lag issue again. Is quite weird. I'm not sure what exactly is causing it, who exactly is having a bad connection here. A lot of drivers who attended, of course, the free practice sessions looked fine, especially Kami. Kraft looked a bit iffy in the one that he attended, so maybe there's some issues stemming from Kraft, but he looks to be driving just fine most of the time. Kado had bigger ping than usual as well. But it's Kami right now with Suicide still in this pack. Let Suicide by for Slipstream. But Kado has really ran away from them 4 seconds thanks to the mediums. Urist is having a quiet race, detached himself from Jeff, and he's just running a 6th. Razim looks to have had to pit yet again. Maybe it's more of an undercut. Kami is into the pits, exits the pits. Urist is quite close to him actually. Urist might have managed to get something done here, and it's up to Kami to run away from the slipstream now and keep away from his slipstream because he had a comfortable lead. The top 5 had a comfortable lead, and here's Kraft switching positions with Charge AT on the much fresher hards. We're gonna have sun soon, so no rain to mess up the strategy yet. Charge AT into the pits. And yet the top 2 have completely detached themselves, Kraft and Joe, and so have the top 5 in a sense, Kami, just working on that to not get caught up by Urist Pumpkin. Currently they're running in 7th ahead of Joe. They are on the same wear of hards, but they get into a collision here, which just slows both of them down unnecessarily. Razim in 9th at the moment on the hards. Rama Autosports is the second best car, just 0.1 index score off of the Pulsar Racing car, but it doesn't look like Razim's had the best race or managed to really convert that car performance index into something more important. He had a much better time in the Monarch car last round in Mugello, where he scored a double podium with Kraft. He scored 3rd after the red flag restart. Goose is running in 10th. He is still comfortably ahead of Crunk, but not comfortably enough where you think, oh, it's over. He could finish the race a lap early and still be ahead. It's just a pit stop length, and it's the same length that Crunk has to Carmona at the moment. Jeremiah, of course, this is one of his, I think, maybe even his first competitive race, so he's doing solidly for it, of course. It's to be expected that you have quite a substantial gap to people who have spent many more hours in the game. And I hope he comes back for more. And then there's, of course, Jaruni, who's actually not left the lobby. He is still here, so he could restart if he wants to. However, he is 15 laps behind, so maybe that is not a realistic choice. Kraft running in the lead of the race. It looks like he's minimized Charge GT's undercut to some extent. I guess we'll have to see when Kraft actually pits, because Charge GT does have a good. No, it looks like Charge GT has an even better undercut on his hand if he keeps this 4-second gap going. Suicide into the pits now. Kado also was in the pits recently onto the softs, and Suicide is onto the mediums, and that promotes Kami through to 4th. Urist was in the pits, and maybe even just now, Razim also in the pits, and that means Jeff and Pumpkin overtake him. Um, yeah, let's focus on this race. Let's focus on this midfield battle. Because Urist has really caught up to Kami and Suicide here, even if it's still a substantial gap. He's had no one really to battle with for a lot of it, and he's just been doing consistent lap times, I assume, just driving. Kami is in fourth right now, and Kado has brilliantly detached himself, but he is on the softs, so we will see how long he can make these softs go. Uh, for him to be able to pet and still come out ahead of Kami would be quite important, especially if it's ahead of Kami's slipstream. Kami is in fourth, 5 seconds to Kado. Then it's Suicide in fifth. He's under 4 seconds to Kami. Then Eurus behind under 4 seconds to Suicide. He looks to have had a slow turn one. Pumpkin is behind 4 seconds behind him on the soft. Jeff with a move down the inside, quite aggressive, but no collision there. However, is it the right thing to do? He's on the hards. Pumpkin is on the softs. Razim might get involved here, seeing the other two squabbling. He might want to either back out and keep behind them, or also try and squeeze through just to get rid of these two battling. But yet Jeff is not letting Pumpkin up. He also has a bit of ping, so he sees himself ahead. Razim forced into the wall there. Might lose their slipstream, but he's deploying some boost now to catch back up. And Kado is into the pits, and he exits just behind Kami, and he forces his way through, and Kami backs out, lets him through once that slipstream. Kado hits the wall on the exit, so Kami does get his slipstream. Suicide is under 3 seconds behind. Pumpkin is still leading this pack of Jeff and Razim, and Jeff again down the inside. Aggressive moves. Razim also sees his chance, and Razim also goes through. Oh, and Pumpkin into the wall was side by side with Jeff there as well. And it's Razim on the lead of this pack, and this pack is looking dangerously close to detaching. Charge JT is now into the pits again for Hards. Looks like he's trying to undercut Kraft again. No, Kraft actually recently pet. So they are on very, very similar tires now, and I think they'll take these tires to the end, both of them. And it's just a matter of, can Charge GT on just slightly more fresh tires, how much of a dent can he put into that gap, or is Kraft destined to win the Belarusian Grand Prix? Kado looks to be quite destined to take the podium right now as he runs away from the slipstream again. Suicide is now once again ahead of Kami, who's had the pit for fresh mediums, and the gap between Kami and Suicide and Kami and Urist keeps shrinking, and we're going to have light rain right now. We're going to have light rain. Let's see, what will the drivers decide to do? Will they go in and not risk it? Crunk is going in. But it might be a fake rain just like at the start. Do you want to risk it? If you've got more worn out tires, you can't afford to risk it. But Suicide doesn't care, and he does risk it, just like the three drivers ahead of him. Kami is also risking it. Urist is not, and that might help him if it turns out to be actual rain. Charge AT is now into the pit for enters. Kraft decided not to, even though he's on more worn out hards than Charge AT. But of course, there's always that strategy. If you're behind first and you're looking to beat them, it's all about doing the opposite of what they do, and that's what Charge AT's done. But it's another fake rain. Oh, you must be kidding! And Kado's just come in for wets. And what will Kami do? Kami still comes in for enters. Suicide, however, comes in for softs. He exits behind Urist, but he will not have to pit again. And I think even though a bit of enters is useful for Kami there, I think he should have also pitted for dries. Because of course the dries would be less worn and they would be able to negotiate the corners more. Kraft is losing some time to Charge AT here, looking to minimize the time lost. Of course, the most important part of this will be how far Charge JT can get ahead of Kraft while the rain continues. I hear some background audio there from someone, so please mute. Charge JT is now ahead of Kraft, and he is looking to make it a pit stop length ahead because he will, of course, have to pit. And it's going to be heavy rain. This is awful news for Kraft, for Suicide, for Azim, and for Jeff and Pumpkin, who just exited on dry tires. And that means that the drivers who risked the rain, even Kami, have all profited massively now. The rain was looking to go away, but it did not, and now Charge GT is looking near certain after Kraft getting the upper hand, but in the end, karma struck and Charge GT was rewarded with what was taken away from him by the fake rain at the start, and he starts lap 50, and that is 3 laps until the end, and he is so far ahead of Kraft that it is no longer even a battle. Kraft risked staying out once again, and he nearly managed it, but the rain came back at the worst moment for him. Kado guaranteed podium for him. Kami played it right. Unfortunately, Suicide, who at the start got promoted into second thanks to the fake rain, still will finish in 6th, which is not a bad result at all. But he will probably be disappointed by losing a couple of positions here and there, with the pack fighting with Kado running away from them, and with, of course, this rain at the very end, and it's going to be clouds soon. So the rain will go away in the final laps. It won't be enough, I think, for enters to be too much stronger than wets, and I don't think it really matters too much. All the gaps are too big, and Charge GT starts the final lap of the race here. Surefire victory for him. And just like the race started with crazy rain, so will it end with a crazy rain mix-up, causing all the strategies to go in the trash and everything to just change at a whim's notice. Here he goes, Charge AT for the final turns. For the final turn, here he goes. And it's Charge AT wins the Belarusian Grand Prix. Formula League Season 1 Round 3. Your winner is the Garage 97 driver. Kraft finishes in second for the second race in a row. Says GG in the chat now. So does Charge AT. Kado finishes on the podium in his Formula League debut. Kami once again just off the podium, but still has a respectable 4th place finish. Urist finishes 5th. I think this is his best finish so far. His teammate Suicide will cross the line in 6th, and I think we will see some more late excitement here. Pumpkin Jeff, who have fought this entire time, and now they lost Roz. They lost Razim, and they're still fighting. It is Suicide across the line for 6th, Razim across the line for 7th. And Pumpkin beats Jeff to cross the line in 8th. Jeff crosses it in 9th. And Crunk actually looks to beat Goose, and this is what I was saying, never underestimate a Crunk. Unbelievable stuff. I guess Goose was one of the drivers who risked it at the end, and Crunk earns his first points in Formula League, and 1 point for Pulsar Racing. Oh wait, Goose is classified ahead. That is something that will have to be looked at. Crunk crossed the line first. Goose is classified ahead. There you have it. Eric Carmona in 12th, Jeremiah in 13th, Jeruni in 153, DNF'd. And that is the Belarusian Grand Prix. Hope you guys enjoyed. And we'll see you next round for Circuit Paul Ricard in near Le Castellet, the French Grand Prix, Suicides and Cado's home race. So we'll see you then.